Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. My name is JGOD. In today's video, we're going to focus on recoil and specifically if an optic will actually affect your recoil pattern. We know it affects the aim down sight time depending on which optic you do. And there's kind of one of those things going around the community that some people feel certain optics help you more than others. So I want to kind of walk you through some of my testing and look at each individual optic, and we'll take a look at some different weapons and see if this is just kind of more placebo. Maybe it has an impact on some weapons and maybe not on others. So we'll be taking a look at a few different examples. If you learned anything in today's video, please remember to hit that like button. I do have a goal in today's video of 1,500 likes. And if you're looking to find your way back for more Call of Duty content, make sure you are subscribed with notifications on. And just a heads up, I'm going to be starting up some live streams over on Twitch. So if you're looking for additional content or more ways to interact, definitely go check that down in the description. So this is normally how I do my recoil testing. I've tried different walls in the game. I've tried different angles, and it ends up always with the same consistency. So I always kind of repeat the same process over and over because it makes it as easy as possible. So normally what I do is I line up right here so you can go ahead and replicate the same thing in a private match. Normally put my crosshairs on the center of this door right here, and depending on the recoil pattern, because sometimes they go up and to the left, so there's not enough door left, so maybe I start on the middle and then I move to the middle on the other side. But for the vast majority of the weapons, they either just go straight up or they go up and then to the right. So what we're going to do is take a look at this first recoil pattern, and what I normally do is I'll aim down sight, pull the trigger as I come fully aim down sight, and you can see that varies recoil pattern. What most people will do in the recoil pattern is they're going to go ahead and move their crosshairs like this and repeat that pattern. I get a lot of inconsistency when I've done that, so normally what I'll do is line up that same dot, strafe over because I have the same angle, and then what I do is I fire the weapon and you get a very consistent recoil pattern. They almost look identical. So that's what we're going to be doing, and that's what I showed off in my testing. So you guys could see exactly what I'm doing to get this specific range. As I get further away, pretty much ends up being the exact same thing on other walls that I've tested, and this gives some very reliable recoil patterns. So knowing that ahead of time, let's go ahead and take a look at the recoil patterns. So right here we can see the base recoil pattern, which we just saw on screen a few seconds ago. It kind of just goes up and then to the right, and we get that consistent recoil pattern. The recoil pattern is blue is the what I marked specifically on the wall that I actually got where all those bullet marks were. For the base, for the Cronin, for the Corp Combat, all the way through for all of the various sites. And I kind of just went through all of them and did that tedious task of firing, taking a picture, reloading a match, and repeating the process over again for all of these. And what you'll notice is I've taken this particular recoil pattern here, copied it, turned it green, and then put it behind these ones so we can see if there's anything actually going on, because we have the exact same data in front of us from the same spot firing in the same location. This is the aim down sight, and I actually pulled this data from the site that I mentioned in one of the previous videos that I'll also link down in the description, which is codgundata.com. And basically all the information on there is recorded at 240 hertz, which makes it as accurate as possible, and 4 times as accurate as someone can measure with a 60 hertz or 60 frames per second monitor. So for the M4, it's 234 millisecond aim down sight time, and right here we can see it's plus 4 milliseconds for the Cronin. Very almost unnoticeable, basically. And we're looking like it's not really having much of a benefit, no real change in the recoil. It is slightly off, but there's always going to be a slight amount of randomness to the recoil. It's going to have the same general pattern, but sometimes it'll vary slightly depending on how aggressive the recoil pattern is. For the most part, it's going to look very similar unless we have a drastic change in recoil. So right here we have the Corp Combat. Right here is 16 millisecond plus, so it's a little bit slower, about 1 frame at 60 FPS. You can see it kind of goes up, and it looks like we're having a minor change, but that's really kind of hard to tell. I think overall, that's not a big enough change to actually say that it's actually something happening. But overall, I think this one, you'd say it's inconclusive. When we go to the operator reflex, looks like nothing's happening there. Scout combat, nothing, 25 millisecond. 4X, flip hybrid, really looks like nothing's happening there. I kind of overlaid it on both, and it looks like it's pretty lined up to me. Aim op reflex looks like it's about the same. We're getting a minimal difference here. The same thing that we're seeing with the Corp Combat. Negligible mostly. If we put it over both, we're going to see that it's really not much of a difference. The Apex 5, a hollow, it looks like nothing's happening. Integrated hybrid, Really nothing's happening here. I put it over both because I used one part of the optic and then I used the other part of the optic, and you can see it lines up fairly well. The solo NVG enhanced, it actually looks like something's happening here, and you can see that both of these are pretty in line, and they're kind of cut down on vertical recoil, and it kind of cuts down on a hair bit of the stabilization, or a little bit more on the horizontal, but not much. Primarily you're getting some vertical, so I thought I'd check that one out. That's why it has a question mark next to it. A lot of people talk about the VLK, which for me, I have felt like it has less recoil on certain weapons, but it's kind of one of those things that, will it end up being the case, or is it more of a placebo? And we'll take a look at that. 25 millisecond aim down sight. And then we have the sniper scope, which isn't helping. Viper reflex not helping. Mini reflex not helping. Merc thermal, again, looks like it's helping. Very similar to this solo 0 NVG enhanced. Then we have the PBX hollow. Looks like not much is going on there. Cronin, not much. Monocle, variable, and then the canted. What I end up having is 3 different recoil patterns here because I fired it and I was like, man, it feels like less. I tried the other side of it and it looked exactly the same. It looked like it wasn't benefiting. Then I swapped back and then it looked like it was benefiting again. So I was like, all right, let's try this out with another weapon. So that's kind of, this one's kind of funneled the test together. And then we also have the thermal hybrid, which it looks like it's doing kind of the same thing. When you're using the thermal part of it, it's kind of helping out. When you're not, it's not. And then when you are, again, it is. So we're going to look at the AK and the M13 for these ones that I've kind of highlighted with question marks to give a little bit of another look at it and see if maybe the recoil pattern is just a little bit more random or it's actually helping out in some meaningful way. So right here we have the AK-47 300 millisecond aim down sight. You can see it primarily goes up, a little bit of bounce side to side. Overall, we're not really getting much benefit here if we're looking at the solo NVG enhanced. Not really much of a benefit at all with the VLK. So it's not helping there with the Merc thermal, the canted hybrid, the thermal hybrid. Really, we're not getting any kind of benefit. So this kind of contradicts what we just saw. So I would say it's a little bit inconclusive for these. Let's take a look at the M13. We have the M13 right here. Pretty basic recoil pattern. I chose the one on the right because that felt like it's a very consistent recoil pattern versus this one. Might have been just a little bit of a hiccup there. Solo 0 NVG enhanced. You can see that it does. Fairly consistent there. It doesn't look like it's really helping or hurting. Same thing with the VLK. Maybe getting a little bit of tightening. But if you're looking at this versus this, not much has changed there. It's looking very similar in my opinion. Merc thermal. Again, not much is going on. Canted hybrid. Maybe it's helping out, but not really. And then we got the thermal hybrid. Overall, if I had to say an optic was actually helping with recoil, I would say it's inconclusive. So I think it's definitely going to come down to case by case. It took me a couple hours to kind of go through all these different recoil patterns, mark them all, highlight them, put them side by side, overlap them, and get the information at this level. And even at this close, it doesn't look like it's a noticeable difference, except for maybe in a rare occasion here or there. And that could just be a little bit of variation in the recoil. I don't think this is consistent enough. If we're looking at all the various recoil patterns with all the various optics, that is conclusive that you run this optic, 100% you're getting less recoil. I think it's definitely a case by case, and there's so many different weapons to go through. It's definitely worth trying it out. Put on your best class setup, then equip the optic, and then go ahead and swap the other optic and see which one feels like it has less recoil. And by the end of it, you should have a good idea of which one is going to help you out. If you learned something new, make sure you hit the like button. If you're brand new looking to find your way back, make sure you are subscribed with notifications on. If you want to go ahead and check out a live stream, link will be down in the description for my Twitch channel. And just a heads up, we do have a community Discord, and this is what's actually sent to me in stream by Pez Reloaded. He said, hey, picked up some people from your Discord today for quads, and we won first game on. And they said they ended up getting second place in the second match. So if you're looking for people to play with and you're tired of playing solo or with randoms, go ahead and check out the community Discord link, which will be down in the description. People already finding people to play with that they can actually get wins with. Appreciate all the support on the channel. Thank you for watching. As always, have a great day.